Доброго дня, це
Good afternoon. This is Media Center Ukraine, Odessa. We continue our day, and now we are having with us Dmytro Pletenchuk, head of the press service of the Kherson Defense Forces. Good afternoon. Can you tell us about the situation in Kherson and what are the consequences of the shelling on the 24th of December?
Святковий обстріл.
Yes, that was on the Christmas Eve, and unfortunately we have 10 civilians killed only in Kherson, but generally in Kherson Oblast on that day there were 16 killed, 3 representatives of the state emergency service that were killed, that died during demining. And that was quite difficult because the Russians, they make traps. So even if you follow the demining protocol, it is very hard to avoid casualties, and they do this on purpose. As for the shelling on the 24th of December, we should say that this was yet another shelling with no sense when it comes to military meaning. So this is just yet another terrorist attack, because there are no aims of such shelling. They only try to intimidate us. And they also try to put pressure on the society, for the society to put pressure on the leadership of the country, but they are unsuccessful. As for the last 24 hours, there are still shellings, there are still fires, but we mainly have wounded over the last 24 hours. For example, yesterday, an 84-year-old woman was injured in her flat in Kherson. This is as for the security situation in our city. Do you have the precise number of casualties on the 24th of December when Russians shelled the center of the city? That day, more than 80 persons addressed to get health care. And these statistics cannot always be clear, because some people, they just refer to hospitals on the next day, or even over in the next several days. They are quite severe injuries. They are amputants. Some people are still in intensive care. Doctors are fighting for their lives, but I'm afraid that we still don't have all numbers, because we do not know the precise condition of some of the injured. What is the situation with the city infrastructure in terms of the power, water supply, and heating? Because there are still civilians there who live there despite shelling. Despite constant shelling, and I want to say that the main target are civilian infrastructure. They try to strike doctors, and this is quite a systematic approach in their shelling. And step by step, they try to cover the whole territory of Kherson, with no exceptions. As for humanitarian aspect, as for the life support systems of the city, I would like to say that despite constant shelling, and the doctors, represent officers of this state emergency service and electricians, they do everything possible to support the city, to ensure there is no interruption in water and power supply. But we have a so-called island, which is a part of the Korabelny district. And this area is damaged the most by shelling, and the situation is so difficult there that there is no sense in trying to repair this district. That's why local authorities, they call for evacuation from that place. As for the food supplies, medication supplies, everything there is in the drugstores, in the shops, and logistics companies are still operating. As for the evacuation from the city, is it still ongoing? Not only from the island district, but from Kherson in general to Mykolaiv or Odessa. At the beginning of the full-scale invasion, there were around 330,000 people residing there. Around 70,000 of civilians remain in the city. These are immobile group, vulnerable groups, or those people who have some other reasons why they can't leave the city. And usually these reasons are of social nature. The evacuation is ongoing. It is free of charge. People can evacuate by the railways or by buses. It is organized both by local authorities and by volunteers. The Red Cross makes a significant contribution. They evacuate people who can't walk. Thank you. Thank you for finding time and to be today with us. So if you are still in Odessa, we will be happy to have you offline. So take care. Thank you. Thank you. We will continue our work at 1300, and we will have a briefing dedicated to psychological support for people who have their parents killed or died because of the Russian invasion. Stay tuned.